teach 7th and 8th grade social studies and also an English and a reading here. You know a lot of the faces some of your kids or have. And this.
I'm Jen Romero. I am an art teacher. I also teach 7th and 8th grade social studies and music.
Graphic organizers, and just want to let you know that the write-up was talking about different types of organizers. We decided just to focus on one main one that we use a lot, that you may see. And Noble we have done a lot of different strategies from Kansas University and KU strategies. And if you've been here for a little while, you've been introduced to, or your child has, to writing strategies, sentence writing, paragraph, theme writing. So if not, you might get to that. But those are different strategies from this university, and they're very research-based. They've been having strategies since, I think, the 80s, 70s, or at least copyrighted them. We've all had strategies. But the framing strategy is one to focus on. I'll let you. Oh. When you hear of graphic organizers, you may think of the Venn diagram. And that definitely is one about comparing and contrasting. And there's many different organizers to do, different skills. Okay. All right, the framing strategy is basically, it's a way to clarify information, organizing it, and yes, Jen's passing out a copy of that. Organizers are very helpful for students to better remember notes. A lot of students may be very visual, and they can literally retrieve. You picture an organizer in your head, and you can retrieve from where a piece of information is located. And so there's definitely some research based in that. Okay. So for teachers, Benefit is great for students. It's a tool to remember notes, any main ideas. Also, to present a lengthy amount of information. Textbooks, of course, are chapters can be 20 or 30 pages, and a lot of our students and teachers, anybody, would have some anxiety about, well, what do I need to know? What do I need to know out of these 30 pages? And so a frame, that's what it's an organizer, gives you exactly, this is what you'll study. Doesn't mean we're not going to do extra things or extra reading, things like that. But then this, for some teachers, people will use it differently. It helps just to succinct what exactly will be on a test or a quiz. So the students, it also helps to weed out extraneous information, so they know exactly what they need to know. And then it turns into what we eventually want to get to is for them to fill one out on their own, but it's definitely a scaffolding process.
So I'll pass around some examples of the way they might look. We might pass them out partially filled in or with blanks, and then kind of pull that information away from them as we progress through a semester and through a school year.
And I've certainly, we can blow it up to make it larger for those some kids, and well, I think so how do I use it? So something teachers will do is perhaps have a blank one and fill it out together. It's just teachers, we know kind of the feel of the group, and should we already have some filled in, and okay. A tool to teach the students identify the main ideas from their text. We could still have the a packet of whatever our reading is or the textbook, and discuss together about what would be a main idea to pull from that and to put it on there.
When you're filling out these, do you use the text and then kind of see where it's coming from? So that,
Yeah, and there's different ways. At the beginning, you know, this might already be filled out, which is, you know, it's early in the year, you know, here it is, and then talk about how you got those main ideas, and comparing it to the source, talking, you know, trying to look and see that, you know, the headings would be in the main ideas section, but also this is really chopped down if you have 30, 15, 20 pages of text. And so it really, that's something I have to have prepared to kind of lead and say, you know, we can't do every heading of that nature, so we'll really pare it down together and talk about that. But definitely, that's where the textbook and, you know, that skill come in.
So would this eventually be used in each class in each grade?
It is up to, it's just one of the strategies. I use it.
I mean, let's say
social
we've
studies.
a new 10th grader's never done this before. How do I ensure that she learns how to do this?
Well,
So I think, you know, I think this will be a useful method for her, but I don't have any way of knowing if that's going to be used in one of her classes.
that is something that you definitely could use with notes, taking, you know, my notes right here, and plugging them in for, you know, the main idea and things like that. But it may not be something that is used for every class or.
It wouldn't be everyone, just at least
Yeah.
one, just so she learned how to use them.
Right. And a teacher who would use it, like we said, it would start off by, we would give them the framework with all of the information there, and so we would teach them how to fill it in themselves. So we wouldn't just give them a blank frame and say, you know.
I understand that. I just want to know how I make sure I just talk to her advisor and see if this is something she's going to be using in any of her classes. Because
Yeah.
I'm not must be not making myself clear about how I'm sure that she's in a class that happens to be using this and learning how. And as they get older, is there less? I mean, is there some assumption that they've done this in prior grades, or let's kind of start back over with every year, or?
Well, some of the teachers use this. I use this a lot, and but other teachers may have different methods. This is something that we all are aware of to use, and that could be as an option. But for the student to use also, to be taught how to do that. That's kind of what you're asking, right?
How do I make sure she's having that opportunity?
Yeah. And skill, what grade is?
10th.
10th, okay. And skill building, that's a place too that we'll get to these different strategies that, you know, you guys are all going to. And for this, for her to take notes and be able to plug them in and be able to use that and create their own mini study. Even if it's not, it doesn't even have to have that copy, just understanding the visual organization of it. She can write on her own piece of paper, if you see what I mean.
Where's this, you mentioned, what's the skills building?
Skill building is a few minutes, about 20 minutes before first period here.
Okay.
And that grades 7 through 12 have.
It's like checkpoint, that's where we look through the planners, that's time with advisors, and then most days we do larger activities where we might focus on a strategy. It might be team building, maybe a game.
Okay.
That's that time.
Just see what else. Yeah.
Wanna go to the next?
Also the outline, if you know, y'all remember the old school outlining. Roman numeral 1 and then ABC. If you look at this and think about it, that's really what it is. It is, you know, you have your Roman numeral 1, and then and that is something too that I teach is that is basically your outline. There's Roman numeral 1, then there's ABC, your subheadings. And so that is a way of, you know, taking that outline and then you put it in here, and so students can see, well, it's the same thing as, you know, but this way it's just very vertical, and here it's more of a visual. And just also teaching them that's how I got this, you know, it's not just seeing that in a different form. Let's see. Highlighting strategy, this is just another, that mostly in the younger grades, and it's the different, like yellow would be for main idea. That is another, I'm not going to teach that one, but that's another strategy that teachers can use into it, because what I have done is if I've given this as a whole, then we also go through it together and highlight it. Students have to be actively involved in something or they're zoning out. That's my experience. And so we also add notes to this, and you know, if there's we'll add little extra information, things like that. So that's something that can be done. Textbook, I already mentioned that. It still can be assigned to fill in the whole picture. Students, another way of just to start being able to navigate well a textbook is, you know, if you have this and say, well, where in this chapter was main idea 1 and those details found? So they're trying to match and find. So also, you know, just trying to navigate a textbook is still a good skill, obviously. Okay.
Oh.
Was that it? Okay. And this also was just a little more extra notes that I gave you guys that I think something that you can do is if there's notes in the outline form, you know, work on placing them. That'll be something in skill building that can be covered throughout the grades, and then taking this to have for practice. You guys have that blank copy. We're also going to have on our site this clip and some notes from this strategy, and I'll make sure there's a link to this with some other instructions of how to do that. Any other thoughts?
So on the website where you said this is going to be posted, is there also any kind of instructions for people to just be able to kind of reference, or just kind of how it works? And
Yeah. Well, no, I can. I'll put up more information, more detailed, as if you're going to be the teacher to know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that be good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think one of the other things that we were talking about earlier that can be really helpful with these is to translate it then into a writing class. You know, you could take that and write a whole page paper based on those notes. So it's a good strategy for students who maybe struggle getting those ideas together in the outline format. Doesn't quite work for them.
Yep, and one of the proof of studies, I don't remember which one, is you can synthesize your notes into to a paper. So it depends on, how well you can, is in the writing. If he's at the 5-paragraph stage, then, you got your beginning paragraph and your detailed paragraphs and then your conclusion. And so this is actually, works very well to something like that. Or just, just a paragraph getting started. So there's just lots we can do with that. But students do have to kind of just build up to those things.